guiding light is all I know. Through wood and steel, through fire and lace, I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Is to a throid arcane. You laid the path before me. You guided every step. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the glass the dead time it soar? Don't find it empty, our cry is near. By the grace of the goddess we are free. We'll build the land, our hearts within. From dawn till dusk, I work, I strive. With your blessing, I'll survive. The loom, the forge, the sword, the grain in your name, I rise again. Futsa and Nirt, Futsa and Chiel, got Bua, got Tolan, got Trio. In you lies strength, in you lies skill. Each victory, each talent, each trial. Great, no skill too small. Your gifts, dear goddess, guide us all. Dandusolas, Mila Truar, Ahleduline, bathe our nights into force. Without your light, we have no guide, but with your hand, I'll place abide. String the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead time it soar? Don't find it until our greatest deed. By the grace of the goddess we are free. We'll build the land, our hearts within. To walk within your grace, blessed by her grace, forever, forever.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Pax Dei, The Search for Steel. I'm your host, Daniel. This is episode 161. In our last episode, we explored the foundations of ethical power, the difference between influence that uplifts and influence that manipulates, drawing on the wisdom of ancient philosophers, modern thinkers, and even the lessons found in our gaming guilds and workplaces. We learned that integrity, honesty, and trust are not just ideals of a bygone era. They are very much the currency of real, lasting leadership. Today, we continue our journey diving deeper into the heart of influence in a world that's rapidly evolving, where algorithms, social media, and global networks can amplify both the good and the bad. And there's our friend Aiden, builder of the great structure behind me. And we will go into a little bit of the structure because I wanted to go through a little bit of before the actual cast. We're gonna go into the building for a moment. And I did open that door. And this is our new craft room we built. Absolutely amazing. The lighting is superb, and it will be plenty for, I think we have jewelry, the founder's crafting table, and tailoring up here. So amazing so far. Oh, and you put the cabinet up here, which is a more advanced storage device. As a matter of fact, I might make a couple more for him to put up here since this is our more elegant area. All right. I didn't open the door. I just went through it. Now we found a glitch. Nice. All right. Let me see. I think I have all the stuff that I need. And we can be on our way and do what we did last night, maybe? And just battle some people. Because we can. I made some swords yesterday, so we won't run out of them. All right. So this episode is really about walking the walk. Not just knowing what ethical power is, but learning on how to embody it when the stakes are high and the path is uncertain. We'll revisit the ancient wisdom of Aristotle and Confucius and Sun Tzu on the enduring value of virtue, and bring voices like Jonathan Haidt, who reminds us that persuasion starts in the heart before it reaches the mind. We'll look at modern research showing how cultures of trust, from ancient courts to digital companies, consistently outperform those built on fear or manipulation. And we'll grapple with some tough questions. In an age where influence is everywhere, online, at work, in our communities, how do we ensure our own power is wielded ethically? How do we build trust, inspire moral elevation, and lead by example, even when it's inconvenient or risky? And there should be some. There's a couple of animals that should be here, so I wonder if somebody's farming up here. All right. Take our spot on the mount. Nope, nobody's farming. It doesn't look like it. Let's check it out. Nope, nobody's farming this one. All right. So we'll do a little bit of the episode, and then we'll, as always, we'll share stories from real life, gaming, and history, and we'll put ourselves in the shoes of Empire, our in-game leader, facing moral crossroads that mirror our own. By the end of this episode, my hope is that you'll come away with not just insight, but real, actionable steps to make ethical influence a habit, a shield, and a legacy. Because in the end, the steel we seek is forged not only by our skill or strength, but by our unwavering choice to lead with character every single day. All right, we ended with, I can't remember what we ended with. We ended with, who was it? Hannah Arden. And now we're going to continue with give me a second. I'm trying to look through my notes as I'm doing this. I'm going to go to Jonathan Haidt. Haidt? I don't know. Anyway, we touched on his metaphor, the rider and the elephant, yesterday. Haidt research in moral psychology reveals that much of our moral judgment comes from intuition or emotion, which is the elephant, with reason, the rider, often working afterwards to justify what our intuitions have already decided. Why is this relevant? Well, it means that to ethically influence others, we must connect not only with their logical mind, but with their values, emotions, and sense of meaning. And doing so ethically means listening, respecting those intuitive values rather than exploiting them. For example, if you're trying to persuade a community to accept a new policy, You won't get far if you only present cold hard facts and ignore the deep values or fears. A wise ethical influencer will address concerns empathetically, pathos, and establish trust, ethos, before expecting rational agreement, which is logos. Haddad also studies moral foundations like care and harm, fairness and cheating, loyalty and betrayal, authority and subversion, sanctity and degradation, liberty and oppression, which different people prioritize differently. Understanding this helps ethical influence. You need to frame things in terms of that resonate with the values of your audience. For instance, telling a very tradition-minded group about a change by emphasizing on how it honors the legacy of the past and authorities they respect, which is the authority and loyalty foundation, might better persuade than just saying it will increase efficiency. The latter might appeal to folks who value pragmatism, but not to all. Now, obviously, no one can exploit this knowledge to manipulate. I should say, let's say it differently. Now, obviously, one could exploit this knowledge to manipulate by cynically tapping into the values one doesn't share. But ethically, the idea is to communicate honestly in a value-sensitive way. It's about meeting people where they are. A good influencer finds common ground with others, moral intuitions, and builds on that authentically. All right, so let's get some action in here, and we'll go fight some Justicars and see how well we learned from yesterday. Here we go. It's amazing you can just kind of avoid an arrow. He needs a better shot. Good. Wow. Interesting. I blocked it, though. That's amazing. There we go. I'm getting the timing down. He charges with that one, so it connects every time. There it is. Now we got the room for the ending shot. I'm using less arrows on my personal missions. Alright, let's go after this guy once my refresh of my stamina comes up just a little bit more. Keep in mind, by game dynamics, if I go into my casting right away, it will create a non-stamina. Oh, that was weird. I don't know what he did there. He cast a spell at me. What's up with that? I don't know what that is. This guy healing? Did they add something to the game? Yeah. What the hell? He's healing. What was he healing? I barely made that. He healed. And I got no experience. What in the heck just happened? He was healing himself. Okay. All right. They just if that's true, which it looks like it is, they just made soloing almost impossible. I am not going to be happy. Anyway, let's continue our conversation. Oh my goodness, that's something new. Let me see if they don't put the version of the game up anymore. Let's hold off on a combat for right now. The first combat went fine. The second combat, yeah, he was casting. Interesting. Anyway, Haidt's concept of moral elevation is fascinating too. That the feeling of being uplifted when we see someone perform a virtuous act. It's that feeling, that feeling of being uplifted when we see someone perform a virtuous act. So research has shown that witnessing integrity and kindness can literally make people feel inspired to do good themselves. For example, in studies, when employees see their leaders make self-sacrifices for the greater good or treat someone with exceptional fairness, it elicits elevation and often promotes the employees to be more helpful and ethical as well. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Aiden. Heck. Let me talk to Aiden just for a moment and get back to it. But yeah, that was. I mean, I almost lost that fight because of it. Anyway, so this is a positive contagion, right, of ethical influence. If you're a leader or just someone trying to set a tone in a friend group or a guild, you know that your actions speak louder than words and can create a ripple effect. If you want a culture of honesty, demonstrate honesty, even when it's hard. If you want kindness, show kindness. People learn from models. They take emotional cues from them. We all have the power to be elevating example in small ways. I recall a personal anecdote. Once at a previous job, a manager openly admitted to making a mistake in front of the team and took responsibility rather than blaming the team. It was a simple act of integrity. The effect of the team was palatable. Relief, respect, and a notable increase in the team members owning up to their own small mistakes faster because they saw it was safe to do so. That manager's influence skyrocketed, not because he flexed authority, but because he modeled integrity. Finally, let's bring in Simon Sinek, a contemporary author and a speaker on leadership. Sinek echoes many of the age-old truths in very accessible terms. One of his core messages is that great leaders start with why. They communicate purpose and values, not just instructions. This is crucial. Ethical influence connects to meaning. If you articulate why something matters, especially a why beyond just because I said so or to make a profit or make more profit. You inspire people rather than require them. Sinek also champions trust as the cornerstone of leadership. He famously said, "Leadership is about integrity, honesty, and accountability, all components of trust." That sums up a lot of our discussion. Integrity, constantly acting by your values, honesty, truthfulness and transparency, and accountability, taking responsibility for your actions. Together, create trust. And trust is the currency of influence. Sinek argues that in high-performing teams and organizations, people trust each other so much that they feel safe. In his book, Leaders Eat Last, he uses the metaphor of how the military, the officers, eat after their soldiers. Literally, it's a literal practice that symbolizes leadership as a service and a sacrifice for the group. When leaders put others first consistently, an atmosphere of trust and cooperation blooms. He writes, "The true price of leadership is the willingness to place the needs of others above your own. Great leaders truly care about those they are privileged to lead." Think about the power of that statement. It flips the notion of power from dominance to service. An ethical leader isn't power hungry. They are power generous. They use their power to empower others. Paradoxically, by doing so, their influence only grows. In an environment of trust, people are not afraid. When they are not afraid, they can be creative. They can take risks. They can speak up about problems early. They can take a look out for each other. They can actually look out for each other. Sinek often points to data from organizations. For example, companies with high trust cultures report significantly less stress and higher productivity and engagement than low trust ones. One study in Harvard Business Review found that people at high trust companies had 50% higher productivity and 76% more engagement than people at low trust companies. 50% productivity boost. That's huge. And it isn't achieved by threats or constant surveillance. It's achieved by trust, which comes from ethical behavior and mutual respect at all levels. When you think about it, trust multiplies the power of a group. It's like the opposite of friction. It's synergy. All right, before I move on, I want to see if that was a fluke. Is that a glitch? Do this one more time. All right, so I run away to a good point, and he'll catch me. I always get that second one. Yeah. Yeah, he's casting it. I don't think I'm gonna have the stamina to kill this guy. I took him out really quick that time. All right, so he is casting it again. Man, that's consistent now. They added that. There's devs. Anyway. So I'd like to highlight one more stat that illustrates the current stakes. A recent global integrity report found that a troubling number of business people would act unethically for personal gain. Nearly 4 in 10 said they would compromise ethics to advance their own career. What's worse, among senior managers and board members, the percentage was even higher, over half, according to the survey. That points to a potential crisis of integrity in many organizations. And yes, to follow up on Aiden's, there wasn't a patch. Yeah, that was really weird. I'm still mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. All right, so it suggests that many leaders are not practicing ethical power. They might be using influence for self-interests or tolerating misdeeds at the top. Not only is it bad for morale and society, but it's short-sighted for the organizations too. A culture where unethical behavior is tolerated or modeled by the leaders will eventually rot from within. Trust will erode. Good employees will leave. I mean, who wants to stay under a shady boss? And organizations' reputation can crumble publicly. We've seen scandal after scandal in the news. Contrast that with organizations that lead by moral principles. Those tend to build strong brands, attract loyal employees and customers, and weather storms better because people give them the benefit of the doubt. As an example, let's look at the difference between, say, a company like Johnson & Johnson in the Tylenol case decades ago, where they immediately pulled products off the shelf at a huge cost because it was the right thing to do for their customers' safety, and they earned public trust, versus companies that tried to hide defect or scandals and eventually faced catastrophic backlash. Let's bring it back to you and me. How do we personally ensure that we stay on the ethical side of influence? Well, there's a few guiding thoughts to distill from all of this. First, clarify your values and intentions. Regularly check in with yourself on why you're not trying to influence somebody. It's just for your gain. Or, I should say, is it just for your gain? Or is it a mutual benefit or a greater good? Be honest. If you catch yourself thinking, I don't care what they want, I just need them to do this, that's the red flag. Reframe your approach to find overlap between your goals and theirs, or at least be transparent about what you're asking and why. Be truthful. Lying or withholding key information is a slippery slope. Ethical influence requires trust, and trust requires truth. This doesn't mean you must disclose every detail in every scenario. Sometimes privacy or confidentiality are factors, but it means not actively deceiving or misleading. People will often forgive mistakes or failures. It's much harder to forgive betrayal of trust through dishonesty. All right, let's attack this guy, because I am wondering, is it a fluke with the other guy? But he really did. Last night he didn't do it. We can go to my podcast last night. He did not do it. Why is my weird? Okay. My kill mark was up, but the graphic wasn't. Interesting. And that's why my there we go. That's why my hands were not up. Let's bring him over here. Let him fire. And then go in. I backed up just too far. In that stance, I'm not holding my block. Oh, I should have hit him twice. There we go. There we go. Let's gain my stamina back and some hit points. I'm probably gonna lose. Yeah, I'm losing my fatty boy stew. There's a delay on that. See, there's usually a timer that comes up on the lower right-hand portion of my screen, and there's not one. on this. So I don't know when it's actually disappeared or not until it actually disappears. But right now I should be able to click on it because it's over. But there's some kind of timer still visible, but it's not visible to the player. That's a mistake, devs. You're going to make the commands to do something, and make the commands to do something. Okay. Grab this guy. This guy's going to be a hard battle. I mean, I guess it's fair. I'm going to try to get my swings in. See that one. I had to use my big guns. I can't let him do that again. Holy crap. I had to go silent with that fight. I am not getting enough experience for that. I don't even think I'm getting experience for him. I'm not seeing the experience thing blow up, but maybe I am. I don't know. Let's see. It's going to be 19,639, and I'll remember that. And I'll go after the other guy after I get into respect, freedom of choice. This is crucial, by the way. So just to recap, just a quick recap after this tough battles. We have clarify your values and intentions, be truthful, respect freedom of choice. So this is crucial. Always leave the other person in a dignified way to say no. If you find yourself cornering someone so they have no choice but to comply, you're likely in a manipulation territory. In a leadership scenario, of course, there are times when you must insist on something, like safety protocol. But even then, you can acknowledge their agency, explain the reasons, show empathy for their position, and treat them as a responsible partner in the endeavor, not as a child or a pawn. People will accept strict orders from leaders they trust and who respects them. They will bristle even at mild suggestions from someone who patronizes them or coercively pressures them. Listen and adapt. Ethical influencing is a two-way street. Pay attention to the feedback and concerns. Some people won't be persuaded because they have real issues that need addressing. Maybe your plan has flaws. Maybe you've overlooked the impact on them. A manipulator might steamroll and dismiss feedback. An ethical leader listens and, if necessary, adjusts the plan or addresses the concern sincerely. This not only leads to better outcomes, but also shows good faith, which further increases trust. Remember, influence isn't a conversation. Or I should say, influence is a conversation, not a conquest. And last one, lead by example. Perhaps the most powerful tool you have is your own example. If you want to promote a culture of learning at work, be seen learning and admitting you don't know everything. If you want your kids to be honest, never let them catch you in a lie. If Empire wants his guild to be generous and help newbies, Empire himself should be at the forefront of giving aid to new players, as we discussed with moral elevation. When you demonstrate integrity and ethical behavior, others are inspired and more likely to follow suit. It's influence without a word spoken. Conversely, nothing undermines your influence faster than hypocrisy, saying one thing and doing another. People are extremely quick to pick up on it. Our mantra can be, Be the change, and the influence will follow. It's hard times. We're all imperfect. But even admitting to our shortfalls openly is part of walking the talk, which is accountability. Now, some might wonder, do ethical influencers finish first? In a competitive world, is there evidence of the nice guys or gals where they don't finish last? Well, we already saw some evidence. High trust companies outperform, teams with servant leaders excel, etc. There's also research that on the individual level. For example, studies on moral leadership. They indicate that teams working under leaders they perceive as ethical have higher job satisfactions, better engagement, and even improved performance metrics. In contrast, unethical leadership correlates with a higher turnover, intention, and more counterproductivity work behavior by employees. People start cutting corners, slacking off, perhaps rationalizing, if my boss is unethical, why should I care? Ethics, in a sense, is contagious. So is unethical behavior. If a leader cheats or tolerates cheating, that behavior cascades down. People take it as permission or necessity to do the same thing. There's a saying, the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. Ethical leaders hold the line, and in doing so, lift the organization up. Even in Pax Dei, or really any MMO, a guild known for integrity and fair play often attracts high-quality cooperative players, whereas guilds known for drama or shady tactics end up struggling or even imploding. I've seen it firsthand. Guilds that exploited mechanics or other players might rise quickly in power, but they also often collapse under the weight of mistrust or got a bad reputation that made others refuse to work with them. Meanwhile, guilds that built a reputation for honor and reliability often formed lasting alliances and enjoyed an enjoyable gaming experience, which turned out to help them and thrive. So yes, ethical power is sustainable power. All right, let's go get this Justicar, and then we'll conclude our. This isn't the series conclusion. This is just the first episode conclusion. All right, so I got to get this guy without the boar coming over. You know what? Because I want to bring him over here, I want to make sure this boar is dead. So let's just kill this boar. There we go. Alright, so now I don't have to contend with the boar. Remember, Sun Tzu said, you want to bring the enemy to your battlefield, not go to the enemy's battlefield. MMORPGs can, if they allow you to use strategy, it's a big thing. There we go. It looks like kill mark goes away as well, which is annoying. There he is. The one good note about I needed that second one. Oh, come on. I needed to finish that fast. Yeah, he's really tough now. That's a really awful mechanic. I mean, it's part of the charm of a MMORPG is you can go off and adventure on your own if your guild's, doing something, or if they're like leveling new people in the guild or leveling other people that provides that community, right? So your guild is a helpful guild, right? They allow non-guild members to join the parties and go get experience with them and such things like that. What they've done here is made it almost impossible for you to solo anything, and it's very annoying, is what it is. Let's see if there's usually a dog in here. It looks like they changed something. They definitely updated something. Some of the things have changed positions. All right, let's conclude for tonight. We'll make it a somewhat short night, Sunday night. So we've traveled far and wide in this discussion, from the ancient courts and battlefields to modern offices and virtual worlds. It's time now to gather our insights and return to where we began, helping each of us become the best versions of ourselves by understanding influence and integrity. So what we have learned, to sum up: ethical power is real. It's a kind of influence that doesn't evaporate when scrutiny comes, because it's built on truth and trust. It's the North Star leadership Confucius spoke of, shining by virtue so others follow freely. It's Aristotle's ethos, the persuasive force of character. It's it's an Indian name, sorry. Shanakaya. His wisdom that leaders' welfare is entwined with the people's welfare. It's Sun Tzu's counsel that caring for your team yields their unwavering loyalty. And it's Al-Fabari's vision of leaders as moral exemplars, guiding society to happiness. Modern voices reinforce the same core. Hannah Arendt warns that ruling by fear is hollow, whereas true power grows from the collective support and integrity. Paladini shows us the levers of influence and implicitly challenges us to use them conscientiously, treating others as ends in themselves, not means. Jonathan Haidt reminds us to connect with values and lead in ways that inspire moral elevation, not cynicism. And Simon Sinek reminds us that integrity and trust are not just nice to haves, but the very essence of effective leadership. Let's revisit Ampere one last time. In our story, Ampere confronted the corrupt knight who gave the village a chance to freedom, through principled leadership. Now imagine if Ampere had taken a low road. Perhaps he slays the knight through deceit or brute force and crowns himself the new ruler of the village, extolling that it was all for their own good. That might solve the immediate problem, but it just replaces one tyranny for another. The villagers would eventually see Ampere as no different, and any initial relief would turn to fear and resentment. Ampere's name would be fear, not love. That's not the heroic legacy we want in game life, or in game or in life, right? Instead, by choosing integrity, by convincing rather than coercing, by selflessness rather than self-interest, Ampere not only freed the village, but also earned their genuine loyalty. In future quests, when Ampere calls, do you think they will answer with more enthusiasm? Those villagers, or who will answer with more enthusiasm? Those villagers or subjects under a reign of terror? The answer is obvious. The difference between the influence that is invited versus the influence that is imposed. So another aspect is if somebody observes. Let's say somebody observed Emthyr. We'll call her Lyra for now. She observes that Emthyr's true strength wasn't his sword. Many have swords, but his was character. She writes a line in the Chronicles. And so the village prospered in peace, for they followed Emthyr not from subjugation, but from admiration. In his honor, they raised the banner that bore his motto, strength and service. That motto encapsulates ethical power. Strength is used in the service of others. It's a motto we can all carry in our hearts. Now, I want to leave you with a few practical calls to action as we conclude. So, is that Aiden trying to take somebody? Yeah, that guy is healing as well. I wonder if he gets any experience. I don't know if he got any experience on that one. I can't see him. He's not in my party. All right. So let's take a moment. Here's the call to action. So reflect on your influence. Take a moment in the next day or two to think about one sphere where you have influence, be it at home, at work, or in a community, or a game. Ask, am I using my influence there with integrity? Is there any instance where I pressured someone in a way that didn't feel right or was less fully honest? If so, how could I handle it better next time? Also recognize where you're doing well ethically so you can reinforce those habits. Self-awareness is the first step to growth. I have to ask if you got experience. And he didn't check. I could have sworn I didn't get it. I did not get it. All right, so that's reflect on your influence, right? The next one is strengthen a trust bond. So identify a relationship with a coworker, a friend, a family member, or a guildmate where trust could be stronger. Do one concrete thing to build trust with that person. It could be as simple as admitting a mistake to them or following through on a promise that you know matters to them, or even just listening intently without judgment to something they want to share. Trust is built in small moments. By investing in trust, you're actually increasing your positive influence with that person. And you're also showing them a bit of ethical leadership from their perspective. Another one, which is probably the everybody should be doing, and we hear this all the time, and I've said it several times in this. Okay. Is lead by example in one decision. Sometime this week, you'll face a decision where you could take an easy shortcut that bends your values a bit, or you can stick to your principles, even though it's hard. It might be tempting to say, blame someone else for someone's collective mistake in a project, or inflate an expense, or to inflate an expense report, or to exploit a loophole in a game. Choose the ethical route deliberately, then observe the effects. Often you will find that not only do things turn out fine, but your self-respect and reputation get a boost. Maybe your colleague says, "Hey, thanks for being honest about that error. It helped us all fix it." Or a friend notes, "I noticed that you always play fair." It's why I like teaming up with you. These little outcomes reinforce doing right is a source of strength, not weakness. Last one, empower another. Ethical influence is not about ethical influence is about empowering others to have influence. Think of someone in your circle who has the potential, but maybe lacks confidence or opportunity. What can you do to lift them up? It could be mentoring a junior employee, giving a shout out to a shy guild member's good idea so that the group pays attention, or encouraging a child to make a decision on their own and praising their reasoning. When you empower others, you create a ripple or positive influence. Plus, it's deeply satisfying. A hallmark of servant leadership is deriving joy from others' growth and success. In essence, commit to being the leader you would be willing to follow. Whether or not you have an official title, you lead by example and interactions. By aligning influence with integrity, you make your corner of the world a little better. And you also make yourself better. This is the path of crafting the best version of yourself, forging character and wisdom through conscious practice. One of the wonderful things about ethical power is that it scales. It starts in the self, being true to your values. It extends to how you treat one person, then a team, then a community. Over time, the culture around you can shift. We've seen it happen. One courageous whistleblower can inspire an entire industry to reform unethical practices, or one noble guild can change the tone of a gaming server from toxic to cooperative. You might be thinking, well, I'm no hero on a grand scale, but influence is often more subtle. You never know who's watching and learning from you. By choosing integrity in small moments, you might influence somebody who goes on to influence many others. Ethical leadership creates legacy. All right, let me go attack this guy. Grab this guy. Let's see if I can bring him. And let him fire the arrow. Come on. There we go. That wasn't too bad. There it is. There we go. There we go. And it's time. There we go. That's the only way to level up the bow. I hate that, but it is the only way to level up the bow. Alright, let's grab this guy. This guy's going to be a pain in the butt. Aiden's going to give us a little help. We're not in a party, though. That's alright. Let's see what this guy does. And there you go. One. Ah. I hate how he attacks with that. The 274 does a lot of damage. But that's party tactics in a nutshell. We weren't in a party, but it did do party tactics. We've been in a party before, so we understand how to combat with each other, and that's how we influence one another is to get better. Is we have roles within the combat, and it's a lot. It's very cool when you can get a good group together and you have the roles. In this configuration, he's a vanguard role, but a one-handed spear with the shield. He's technically more of a damage doer, but he gives a lot of buffs for defense and such things like that. So a lot of things will attack him, while others, like myself, would be in the back or with the great sword attack. So there's some strategy that's growing in the development stage, but the devs have to start doing a couple different things with the way combat is done, or this game, I'm afraid, would not take off, because the combat is going to be a central theme for a lot of people, and to do it takes a lot of work and effort on the downtime side of the game. All right, well, as we wrap up episode 160, or 161, excuse me, remember that we're really searching for ourselves. It's that inner strength and resolve to do what's right and to lead with honor. Influence and integrity are two sides of the same coin of ethical power. Influence gives us reach. Integrity gives us direction. Use both, and you will become a force for good that others will rally around. So we're at an hour, so we'll make this episode an hour. It's one of the shorter ones, but that's okay. Thank you for listening and reflecting with me today. I hope this episode has sparked some insight and inspiration. If you have stories of influence and integrity from your own life, or any feedback to share, love to hear them. Feel free to reach out or comment. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, of course, you can comment in the YouTube section. I'm on Rumble. And what else am I on? X. So if you want to have the conversations, let's have them on. I'd love to see them on X and YouTube, but wherever you want to have the conversation. It's an important conversation to have, and if you have questions, if I don't have the answers, I'll be honest, and I'll have the answers if I can. All right, let's see. So remember, until next time, remember that you have more power than you realize when guided by integrity. That power can change the lives in the best way. In your own quest to craft the best version of yourself, wield your influence wisely and ethically. Lead with virtue, and others will follow, not because they have to, but because they want to. Stay true to your North Star and keep forging ahead. And since it's Sunday, we probably won't see another episode until Friday. We'll meet again soon, and hopefully we will be able to influence well and live with integrity. Until then, check out my channel and my X post, become a follower on X, and you'll see some of my episodes come up. I also do an Enshrouded, that's just gaming. It's a gaming channel. I talk about whatever, mostly development and the inability of me to do certain things within the game that gets fun. Like today, I just failed miserably a couple times. Couldn't get timing down right. But anyway, it's a fun time. I also have a short story, The Reluctant Architect. I'm working on story or chapter 2. And I also have a music channel on YouTube, and you can catch some of all of my work that's repeated on Rumble as well. So until next time, have a good day, have a good night, and we'll hopefully speak soon. But be safe, everybody.
With every step, a lesson learned. From fire's heat to the fields I've turned, the blade and bow, the forge and flame. I sharpen my skills, I play the game. Each day brings a challenge I must face. I train my hands with careful grace. From alchemy's art to the hunter's way, I'll find the strength to seize the day. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil, I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. From the herbs I find to the iron I mold, each lesson learned is a story told. The stars above, they guide my hand. As I hold my craft, I take my stand. In the quiet woods, in the mountains chill, I push myself, I shape my will. With each new tool and every lore, I'm stronger now than I was before. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil, I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance, I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. The road is long, but I won't turn back. The lessons I learned keep me on track. With each new skill, the stronger I grow. In the face of the storm, I let my courage show. I've tasted defeat, I felt the sting, but I rise again with each new spring. For knowledge is power, and wisdom the key. I'm forging my path, I'm breaking free. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance, I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the